We're rolling along through the beautiful Tuscan countryside just outside of Siena, a city best known in the cycling world as the start and finish of the Strade Bianche.
We've rolled out of the breathtaking medieval town and into the surrounding countryside to recon some of the highlights of the Strade Bianche course. To tackle the iconic white gravel roads of the Strade Bianche, we've got two endurance bikes with us. I'm on Scott Addict.
And I'm on Cannondale's Synapse. And today we're riding a route that we've put together using Komoot that takes in the key areas of the course and the most influential parts. And you can find a link to that route in the YouTube description below. So we're about to turn on to section number 1, Vedriti as it's known.
Yeah. 2.1
kilometers long of pure hard-packed gravel in the dry. Could be quite loose in the wet. Fortunately, we've got good weather today. So let's go find out what all of this is about. It's quite rough, isn't it?
It is, and there's a few cobblestones around as well.
It's just so uneven. You can see where the rain has fallen and it just makes big sort of divots in the ground.
And this dust, you just know if it's raining, it's just going to be a thick paste.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. And we've got, there's potholes everywhere as well. So if you're in a big bunch, you could be just smashed to pieces without even thinking about it.
It's not that wide either.
No.
This is the section number 1. So the peloton's not even going to be blown apart at this point at all.
And what you've got as well, either side, there's these big drops and big holes for like the rain to sort of wash out, but you go off one of those, it's going to take you a while to get back into it.
I guess it's expected, but this road is so narrow.
Yeah.
And they ride this race so fast as well.
Yeah, so like, what was it, 4 hours something?
Yeah, they did it.
The full 187 kilometres.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
They average over sort of 36 kilometres an hour on these roads. So we're at sector 1, known as Vedrita, and it's a tiddler in comparison to what will come at just 2.1 kilometres long. But we had to stop here to just demonstrate what these roads are like, because these roads define this race. And in total, there are 11 of them scattered throughout the course. And the longest one, sector 8, comes in at 11.5 kilometres long. And we'll get to that later in the video.
But if it rains, and in 2018 it rained a lot, this can play havoc to the racers. This creates a surface unlike anything else found in any race in the whole of the calendar, creating a grinding pace that can destroy drivetrains and ruin the chances of any racer.
This is the Cannondale Synapse Carbon Hi-Mod Red eTap AXS, and it is the perfect bike to take on the Strade Bianche gravel roads that I'm on right now. As it's a Synapse, it also has a much greater focus on comfort, and it does this in a lot of very clever ways. For starters, it uses a power pyramid seat tube, which is what this funky little hole in the seat tube is for, and it splits there to meet the wide bottom bracket. That makes it both more absorbent but also stiff, so that when you're putting that energy in, it's driving the bike forward. Save is also built into the hologram bar and stem at the front end, and that flexes a bit more now, so when you're hitting those potholes, and I have been hitting a lot of potholes, it keeps you more comfortable and doesn't jar your neck and shoulders. And of course it uses the Save seat post, which is that little bit skinnier, and it flexes that little bit more when you come onto these rough gravel paths at speed. So that's the Cannondale Synapse, and I'm a very lucky man to be riding such a beautiful bike on such beautiful roads. Most of the gravel sectors in Strade Bianche come after 110 kilometres and before the final 42 kilometres, so it makes it quite an action-packed second half of the race.
Yeah, we're on section 8 at the moment, which goes past Monte Santa Maria. It's the longest and considered by most as the hardest of the entire day. And it's mainly uphill, but there's a lot of really twisty descents as well.
There is, and it's this difficulty and its lengths of 11.5 kilometres. It has often made this sector the perfect launching pad for an attack. That's exactly what Van Avermaet did in 2019, and it's also why this sector is dedicated to the one and only Fabian Cancellara.
If ever there was the perfect partner for the Strade Bianche course, it's this, the Scott Addict 10 disc. It's designed as a fast endurance bike, but it's a bit more than that. It can go places that most endurance bikes don't like to go. Basically, roads like this. It's as fast on these gravel roads as it is on the tarmac itself. For the Addict 10 disc, Scott used their HMF carbon, which is slightly different to the HMX carbon that they use on their Addict RC and foil race bikes. It's actually 20% less stiff than those bikes, which might sound like a negative, but for a bike designed around endurance riding and surfaces like this, it makes it far more fatigue reducing. What also makes it a perfect partner for the Strade Bianche is the tyre clearances that we find on this bike. It comes as standard with 30mm Schwalbe 1 tyres, which make short work of these rough surfaces. It's slightly longer and slightly lower than a lot of endurance bikes, which means if you like to go fast, the Scott Addict 10 disc is the perfect partner for you. Not only do the racers have to contend with this horrible road surface, but it's punctuated by these brutal 10% plus climbs. And as you can see around us, it's really exposed up here. So if the weather's bad, it could blow the race wide open so quickly. And here's one of the descents that we talked about.
This is a tricky descent.
Oh yeah. So imagine doing this in a bunch. It's like, because you've got all of these braking bumps as well from the agriculture, all the machinery and the cars that use it.
God, that was worse than most cobble sections I've ridden when we went to Flanders just then.
It's like, things like the smart riders will be trying to stay off this horrible section.
I am not a smart rider.
But if you look, this is where all of the loose stuff is as well. So it's a fine balancing act. As you said before, like luck, whether or not you're going to stay upright or get a puncture, is just, it comes into play so quickly.
Scary, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, and that is sort of my, having ridden quite a few of these sectors now, my overarching feeling is they're quite scary. If you're riding these at race pace, descending at like race pace in a bunch, they're so loose, and we've been absolutely battered coming along these.
One of the biggest issues that we probably have more than anything else riding this is tyre pressure. So, you know, tyre width, we both got 28s and 30s, so that's no problem at all. But do you ride a higher pressure for the road surfaces or for the 20% of the race that is actually on these surfaces?
And you know, you're looking for grip everywhere you can get it. So do you run a lower pressure for grip but sacrifice puncture protection from pinch flats? And you know, there are some big hits on this surface. Yeah, I've hit some big holes today. Woo! Well, it was inevitable really, wasn't it?
Well, it was kiss of death, talking about punctures and trying to get your team car through. Going down here, and what happened?
I puncture, flatted my rear tyre, heard it go. And if this was a race, you'd be in real trouble, because there is no way a team car's coming along here anytime soon. And the sticky end of the competition's just gone up that hill.
What? You got this steep climb straight away.
And you're left trying to get from neutral service a wheel to then try and get going again on another 10% climb. That is unrelenting, this sector, isn't it?
You might as well just crawl into your team car and say sorry. In fact, you're not allowed to do that though.
Well, it's right here.
Yeah.
Make space, guys. So the final two sections, the Col de Puncture, the one that we're on now, and Le Tolf, the one that comes very soon after, both come just outside the final 23 kilometers of the race. And in their parts, they're brutally steep, which make them quite significant when it comes to the racing.
These last two sectors are used in both the men's and the women's races. And it was in 2019 that Annemiek van Vleuten, the world champion, made her move on this, the Col de Puncture, and basically kept away.
Yeah, and this section was where Jakob Fuglsang distanced Wout van Aert last year, although Wout van Aert did end up pulling himself back again to both Alaphilippe and Fuglsang, which was very dramatic.
Yeah.
But these sections do have some brutally steep climbs in, and we're going to carry on to Le Tolf, which is potentially the hardest of the race and the most significant because of how close it is to Siena.
I'm not looking forward to that 18%.
No, nor am I. I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
Tell you what that is, nasty.
That is potentially the most difficult thing I've ever ridden a bike up. My Garmin was saying that that's about 16%.
Yeah.
It feels steeper. In that corner, it feels steeper. And the killer thing is that corner is just layered with dust.
Yeah, I went on the inside line and that was a wrong idea. Thought you think you like sort of like shutting it down, but it's just, there's no grip.
No, and so if you're trying to springboard some sort of attack onto this straight and then up and around the corner, you're not going to have any traction. There's no way you could do that off there.
Fair enough.
That is like a climb of attrition, that is.
Yeah, I could stay here for so long. But it's beautiful. But yeah, the sun is just dropping a little bit now, so we need to get on.
We'll get on to Siena. Strade Bianche has a real sting in its tail that comes in the form of this, the final climb up to the finishing piazza. It comes at about 1 kilometre to go and starts on the early stages of the street Fontebranta down here.
It truly is one of cycling's iconic finishes.
Well, it's getting dark now, so we better get on and recon this final climb.
At this point in 2018 where Wout van Aert was chasing Romain Bardet for second place, where he spectacularly cramped at this corner here and suffered a very catastrophic issue. Took him a while to get back on the bike, but then he did it incredibly well and still hung on for third place.
That must be actually one of cycling's most beautiful finishes. So we're on the final corner here. The finish is just down there. And as you can see, if you're not in the lead coming around this bend,
that's it.
The race is done, you've lost it.
You've got to be on the outside around that corner. And once you're on the outside, that's it. Freewheeling all the way.
And this is what you're met with.
And it's got to be a wall of sound as well.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it gives me the shivers thinking about it.
Imagine
how exciting it would be if you were Julien Alaphilippe last year coming around here.
I know, I'd want a solo. I'd want a solo.
You'd want to
I don't want the stress.
2017 style.
I don't want the stress of like having to lead somebody else out around here.
I love it. This downhill that we're on now started about 300, 400 meters ago. So if you're racing this, you've been absolutely tanking through those last few streets, a hell of a speed to take those corners.
And then you come here and the finish line is...
There it is, that's the finish line right there.
You've got all of these pillars, you've got everything
Pillars,
there.
this is filled with people, the crowds are everywhere.
People in the windows, in the balconies. Wow. Wow.
I mean, it's absolutely beautiful.
Breathtaking.
I'm stunned. The big day is on the 7th of March. Anybody's call on whose it's going to be. It's so difficult to tell.
But it certainly is one that I am going to watch from start to finish.
I think so, especially now we've done it. I mean, I've been blown away by that route today. The gravel sectors, I think when you kind of watch Strade Bianche on TV, sometimes you think maybe it's not as hard as the cobble classics.
Just like a few short stages, but
there were climbs on there that were harder than any of the climbs we did when we were in Belgium.
Yeah.
I can truly see why this has become such a fan favourite on the racing calendar. But for us, that's it completed. We've had a great day, but I think it's time we went and ate some pasta, pizza, and enjoyed some wine, really. So if you have enjoyed this video, please do leave a comment in the comment section below telling us what you've liked, or if you have any questions about Strade Bianche, let us know. And who do you think is going to win? No, on the big day on the 7th of March, do let us know. Remember to like and subscribe to the Cycling Weekly YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time.